Welcome to the Christian Atheist, episode 15, on ethics, part 2, values. Last week, we discussed the nature of human rationality and how it separates us, makes us unique in the animal kingdom. I would like to continue this strain of thought this week, though perhaps in a more pointed fashion. One of the elements of rationality that animals do not share with humans is the nature of value. Philosophers ask the question, what is value? If we follow the train of last week's thinking, we can observe that what is valuable to an animal is what is of immediate service to its instinctual drives and desires. In a very real sense, value for animals is quite distinct from human value. And the work we did last week can show us how it differs. The example we gave of thirst can help us here. A dog values water when it is thirsty, but its value is used up entirely in servicing the instinct to drink. When his thirst is quenched, the water no longer has value to the dog. By contrast, human beings will go, and have often gone, to war over the value of water. Water has a value that is not used up in the service of instinct. Rather, humans value things through and across time. Value, that is, endures for human beings. It is temporally weighted, exists in all three time frames: past, present, and future. In a word, value is rational, not purely practical, mediated, and not simply immediate. What value, for instance, is a diamond to an animal? What value a dollar bill? A sunset? Human beings, however, can find and place value on things that have no practical or instinctual value whatsoever. Once again, when we say that value is rational, we mean that it results from our capacity to be reflective, critical, and tendentious. Because we have a self that endures through time, a subject-object, we can consider what things have had value for us, the selves that we carry with us as memory, that which at present has value for us, and what will or may have value for us in the future. Value is both immediate and mediated for human beings. Value is the true substance of our world, not matter. If we discuss the critical capacity of human beings, it is founded on our ability to differentiate between values, to construct a hierarchy of value. This is founded on the ability to choose. Choice is the result of mediation, of negation, of our ability to be critical, the ability to separate things into discrete packets of value. We can only choose when we have before us a field of possibles. Possibility, remember, is the tendentious negation of the present as a project, a throwing forward of a self into a future that is open, indeterminate. A project is always a pre-outlined resolution of a present dilemma or question. This is what tendentiousness really means. In presenting or presenting a situation as a problem, as a question, we have already outlined a sort of resolution that will resolve it as a possible, a future self with a solution to the present dilemma. The possible is not. It has no reality in the future, except that which we project, what could be, what may be. Thus, we see that human rationality allows us to structure our negation, to make something literally of nothing. and to project that structured nothing into the future as to be achieved. It is our ability to divide our world into values, to rationally evaluate those values, place them into a hierarchy, a structure that allows us for valuing one thing more highly than another, that makes choice possible. We choose what is more valuable over that which is less valuable in the value hierarchy. And by doing so, we create the value hierarchy. It is very important here to understand the nature of the hierarchy of value that is human experience. While human choice is operant in both the construction of our hierarchies of value and in their application to life in a valued universe, where very many people go wrong in today's academic and hyper-rationalized understanding of our world is the idea that choice goes all the way down. It doesn't. While we human beings are involved in choosing our values, in making decisions about what is more and less valuable in the formation of our value hierarchies, we are not free to choose whether or not we value. We are, inherently and by nature, creatures who inhabit a valued world. We do not choose, borrowing a turn of phrase from the Bard, to value or not to value in the absolute sense. As rational creatures, we are evaluating animals. And while our freedom of choice in regard to values allows us quite a bit of latitude in how we order them, how we place them within the hierarchy, none of us are free from ordering our values into a hierarchy. Even our free choices within the hierarchy are subject to real constraints. While food and drink are quite variable in their placement within human value hierarchies, some people, some that you know, I would imagine, find food and drink to be nearly the most important things in their lives, while others see them only as something necessary for the maintenance of their existence in order to pursue higher values. For example, fitness or human relationships. We are not free, however, to simply devalue food and drink altogether in the course of a normal human existence. We are forced by our nature as rational and embodied human beings to place value on food and drink. I might anticipate the triumphal cry of the critic as I write this. Aha! You're wrong, as people can devalue food and drink and even kill themselves by depriving themselves of these things. For instance, on a hunger strike or when deeply depressed. This objection, however, holds no force when carefully examined, but rather makes my case all the stronger. My claim is not that by necessity we must positively value such things as food and drink, but that we must value them, that we must see them as value-laden things. How we value these things, positively or negatively within the value hierarchy, we have within our purview. But that we value, that we place an order to our values, we are constrained as human beings to do. It is value, in a very real sense, that makes our world, causes us to have a world. As rationality brings to us a self, once again we see how intertwined are the elements of human rationality. The self exists as a value. It is because we can separate that object that is both subject and object in our experience as possessing a special status within our hierarchy of value that we can have a self. Our self is a value that we both acknowledge and pursue, both construct and discover. Because we are tendentious, we pursue value. When we speak of an ordering of value into a hierarchy, we are constructing a whole, a unitary framework within which our experience can unfold. The universe, then, even as conceived by science, is not simply what we discover, but what we value. Why else spend so much time and energy in the process of understanding? It is because we value understanding that we seek it. It is because we value truth that we undertake such efforts to discern it. Human value is foundational to human experience. Without it, we have no world, no self, no past, present, or future. Perhaps you have noticed, as we've talked about this, the imagery we utilize concerning this issue and its outplay in human experience. There are two poles, one represented by human action, human choice, but another that centers on necessity, encounter, contingency, discovery. Value, it seems, is both human and extra-human. We find ourselves in a cosmos. That's the Greek word for world, a structured reality. We find ourselves in a cosmos of value. But we can also know ourselves as choosing, ordering that world into a structure. Animals have no such structure, no whole of which they are parts. Lacking the ordering principles of value with which to view themselves as valued objects in a structure of other valued objects, they simply live as part of the stream of experience. While we view the animals as objects framed by various contexts, jungle, continent, planet, solar system, galaxy, universe, etc., animals do not. They do not live in a world, as this realization is predicated upon the ability to negate the immediacy of experience, to look beyond the here and now, to posit an unexperienced, indeed unexperienceable whole, of which our immediate experience is but a part. I would argue, then, though little depends on this point, that animals value nothing. That value, properly understood, is restricted to human rationality. And we should not anthropomorphize by attributing this tendency to animals. It is, however, the same rational ability to separate, define, and value our experience that enables us to become imbalanced in our understanding. In regard to value, we are both active and passive, both free and constrained, both creative and compelled. If we attempt, then, to emphasize one of these tendencies over the other, we run the risk of missing the truth, either of our own responsibility in relation to the structure and outplay of our values, or in overemphasizing our freedom, denying our constraints, thinking ourselves more powerful in relation to value than we ought. Martin Luther King Jr. said this in one of his sermons: "The first principle of value that we need to rediscover is this, that all reality hinges on moral foundations." In other words, that this is a moral universe, and that there are moral laws of the universe just as abiding as the physical laws. I've expressed in earlier versions of the Christian Atheist that a love for the artifacts of the human intellect is perhaps the origin of humanity's greatest danger. There is an arrogance to human intellect that leads us to ideological one-sidedness. While we are free to order, and to some extent even choose our values, this freedom is not unconstrained. As Martin Luther King put it, there exists a right and wrong in the very nature of our cosmos, to which we must conform ourselves. This is the universal ought of human ethics. And it is to this topic that we will turn our attention in our next edition of the Christian Atheist. Thank you for watching. If this is the first edition of the Christian Atheist you've watched, please subscribe below to be sure not to miss upcoming editions and to catch up on previous episodes. First, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And let us know what you'd like to hear from us by commenting. Wise Words for Your Occasion is located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but we're willing to travel. For inquiries or to book an occasion, go to wisewordsforyouroccasion.wordpress.com or see us on Facebook or check out our YouTube channel. You'll find links to all three in this post.